This is Diane. Hello and welcome back to Buyers.
And this is Marnell, and I don't have a good joke because I used them all in our Showgirls podcast yesterday.
Oh my God, that movie is terrible.
So, like, if you want to see Lilith, Diane, me, Charlie, and Phil podcast about the 1995 movie Showgirls, you can do that on Capes and Lunatics After Dark.
Okay, and Charlie is half naked, and Marnell is half naked, and I wish I was there. So, and Phil and Lilith were fairly naked. Restrained. You were gorgeous. You were in a purple bustier.
I was. So if you'd like to see me in a purple bustier, you have to pay $5 on Patreon.
And if you want to see Charlie without a top, you have to pay $20. Oh, God. All right.
What do I get for 10?
What was that?
What do I get for 10?
You get me in a black little dress with my bra straps peeking out. I'm the compromise candidate.
Sold.
All right. So we are podcasting The Stand, episode 7, The Walk.
Yeah.
I think it's my turn to go first this time.
I think it is.
So I gave it 4 last will and testaments out of 5.
Wow, you rated it much higher than last time.
I did. It was better than last week's. I still had some issues with it, but it was better than last week's.
I really liked this episode. This so far is the one I've rated like the most high. I think one of mine was a 4.2. This one's a 4.25. Broken legs.
Oh, and we had 2 broken legs.
2 broken legs and 2 ways out of those broken legs.
And I'm going to talk a little more about those broken legs in our rotting potpourri because it was interesting for me. Okay, so, again, there is a dearth of numbers about The Stand. I still could not find any information about the budget. This did have a 6.6 on IMDb, 6.6 out of 10. So, again, it's not fantastically rated, but it's not awful.
Yeah, I think it's fairly solid. It's way better than like the first 2 or 3 episodes.
So, it's really funny because I have not liked this as much later into it as I did in the early episodes, but I liked this episode well enough.
It's so funny how my ratings have gone up and yours have gone down.
Right. I would say this one's fairly high. I mean, this one is comparable to my early ratings. I am going to tell you that I'm wondering if my ratings have not decreased because I reread the book.
It's quite possible. And I think I probably would have rated it higher had I never watched the 1994 version and absolutely loved the 1994 version. I mean,
had you never rewatched?
Actually, I didn't start rewatching it until we watched the first couple of episodes.
Okay.
And so it like if I had not been a biggest fan, like I didn't just watch it like in 94 or 2000 or whenever the first time. I think I watched it in 94 when it was on TV. But like I have since watched it again and again and again over the years and, loved it every time. So I think if I wasn't such a big fan of the 94 version, I think I would have liked this version better. But yeah, I think probably in order it goes this version, the 94 version, and then probably the book, But
you haven't read the book.
No, I haven't.
And you haven't listened to the book either.
No, the book is always better because you get people's inner monologues and
right.
I don't know. My imagination is just way more all-encompassing than you could ever get on screen. So
I don't know when I'm going to find time to watch the 94 version because we've got Walking Dead and then Fear the Walking Dead coming back. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely on my radar.
Yeah. I thought we only had 2 more episodes after this episode. And it turns out we have 3 episodes.
No, we've got... Oh, I guess we do. No, we've got 8 and 9. Yeah, we've just got 8 and 9. So 8 is what would have been the original ending, and 9 is the new ending written by Stephen King for this series.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've only got 2 more episodes of The Stand, but it's going to kind of conflict a little bit with 10C1. How complicated
that's
is
what
that?
it was. I thought our next episode was our last episode. And
10C1 actually premiered for AMC Plus tonight, and it premieres on AMC next weekend.
Right.
So, I mean, I think we'll probably podcast it next weekend and maybe do a twofer. But
yeah, I think we'll probably have to do like we're doing, probably kind of doing this week, where we're doing a Saturday, Sunday, Monday podcast-a-thon.
I'm not sure that I'm up for 3 podcasts. We may have to do The Walking Dead and The Stand and then Real Housewives.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about it more. But anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really have anything new in terms of numbers. The title, I don't really have anything fancy. I mean, it's called The Walk, and I feel like obviously it refers to the journey that is undertaken by our foursome in this episode.
Right.
Which is
and then maybe
very...
a little...
Oh, go ahead.
Maybe a little bit of Nadine walking into the desert, kind of one person, and walking out another.
We'll talk more about that.
Okay.
I do want to say that The Walk is fairly consistent, with what happens in the book. I'm not sure if it's consistent with what happens in the 94 series.
With a few minor exceptions, yes.
Okay. Yeah, anyway, I don't have anything great to say about the title beyond that. Our writer is Owen King, Stephen King's son, and we've talked about Owen before, so I'm not going to belabor that. Our director is a guy named Vincenzo Natali. He's actually super prolific. He's got 30 director credits. This and next week's episode of The Stand also, he directed episode 8. You're going to recognize him for Westworld.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I recognize... And Orphan Black. I didn't recognize him, but it was like, oh, okay. So he directed an episode of American Gods. He has also directed for the Lost in Space reboot, Hannibal, an episode of Luke Cage, an episode of Returned, an episode of Hemlock Grove. He actually has a total of 30 director credits, so he's done quite a bit.
And I think I have seen just about everything he has ever directed.
He seems like he's got a little bit of a dark streak, which I'm good with.
If you are a fan of horror, I highly recommend 1997 Cube. It is a great, great psychological thriller type movie. Tell
me a little bit about that, because part of me was like, maybe I've seen that, and then I didn't look any further.
So basically, just random people wake up in these cube-like cells, and each part of the cube has a door on it, and so they start kind of going through the doors. All the doors are closed but unlocked, and so they all start kind of moving their way, and they find each other. And there's nothing linking these people. You have like one guy who's like a former bank robber. You have an autistic guy. You have a teacher. You have just a random businessman. Like none of them can really remember much of their life before, other than like a general kind of who they were. And none of them know how they got there or why they're there. And they have to find their way out. And then they suddenly realize that some of the rooms that they are trying to get through are booby-trapped.
Man, that sounds super familiar. I don't think I've watched it, but it sounds super familiar.
Amazing. The sequel and the third, I think there's just a third in the series. I don't think there's a fourth. Aren't nearly as good, but the first one is amazing. But he's also done PSI Factor. Chronicles of the Paranormal. He directed an episode of that. Earth Final Conflict. That was a pretty good series back in the day. Splice, Darknet, Hemlock Grove, Ascension, The Returned, Orphan Black. Like, he has an amazing resume when it comes to horror, psychological thrillers, action. Yeah.
I totally need to watch Hemlock Grove. The ex watched it and really liked it. And actually one of my friends, like, who is truly a real friend, really loved it. So I need to watch it. It's just, you know, we talk about this all the time, but there's so much to watch. And it seems like the list gets longer. It never gets shorter.
So I will tell you, I really liked season 1 of Hemlock Grove. I dropped out about halfway through season 2. They kind of switch up a very main character, and it kind of lost me at that point. And it's nothing against the actor / actress, I'm not going to say who replaced the person, but it just... It was already such a far-fetched story that I was just like, yeah, no, I got better things to do with my time.
And sometimes it can be super hard to have someone that you really like get replaced by somebody else.
Right. So I think his art department credits are also really interesting too. Beetlejuice, the TV series, which I'm going to guess that's the animated series, which I was a huge fan of.
Okay.
That was way back in 1991 when I was a wee one.
Shut up!
I was 11, but I mean, I'm only 5 foot, so I'm like kind of always been a wee one. But he also did storyboard artist for Johnny Mnemonic, which I just rewatched that the other day.
You know, and I know that we talked about that a little bit on Capes and Lunatics After Dark this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good movie, and the stories were so great. It's actually from a series of stories called Burning Chrome by William K. Gibson. That's all like cyberpunk stuff, and that book was so good.
The reason why I've rewatched it recently is we've been binging the TV shows and movies related to the cyberpunk universe, like Dread.
Okay.
Because Cyberpunk came out, the other half has played through it like 6 times. He loves it. I know it got really crappy reviews and people ripped it apart, and they eventually took it out of the store and have refunded everybody money. But
oh my goodness.
The other half has been very, very happy with it. There are certain platforms that didn't jive well with the game. And so if you were playing it on, I think it was a PS4 or something, it was very glitchy. And so everyone's like, it wasn't ready to be released, even though it's like been 7 years in the making or something. But yeah, it's BS. It's actually like, I'm not a big gamer, and like it looked interesting to me. Like I kind of want to create a character and play, but ain't nobody got time for that. I got too much crap to watch and like work and take care of dogs and
too much podcasting to do.
Just not enough hours in the day.
I'm kind of at a place right now where I've got enough hours in the day because I got a dictation system at work, and my work is actually going a little bit faster, and I'm okay.
I feel guilty about trying to take something on new, especially something that's not productive, like playing a video game.
Right.
Because, like, I got trim to paint, I got toilets to install, I got flooring to put in. Like, I have all these things building up, and so, like, anytime, like, I'm not doing one of those things, I feel guilty about it. Like, I did a lot today, but none of those things.
I did a bunch of cleaning yesterday, and I basically just completely, I'm not going to use the expletive-laced version, screwed off today.
I did all of the outside of the house errands for the week. And I also went and rescued my fig tree from my office
you and
that
I
I will
were
never go
talking
back
when
to.
you did that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, that took up a lot of my day. And then I watched this twice, and I watched A Promising Young Woman, which I'm really hoping that we will podcast about.
Which I totally need to watch, and we'll talk more
Yes.
about that.
Unfortunately, it is not like cheap
my
rentable or on a
God,
streaming
it's
service.
outrageous.
It's $20,
but
whether
it
you rent
looks
it in HD
fabulous.
or not. Yes,
it looks
it
fabulous.
is amazing.
So I'm totally down, even though I'm not down with spending the $20. I'm totally down.
Hey, I told you I'd give you my Prime login so you can watch it.
I have Prime, and it doesn't matter. It's still $20.
No, but I've already rented it, so you will be able to watch my rental.
Oh, I may take you up on that.
You have 48 hours because when you rent it, it's only good for 48 hours.
Well, I'm actually going to watch it either tonight or tomorrow morning, so I may take you up on that.
I'll give you my login offline because not everyone needs my Prime login.
That's hilarious. All right, so our featured cast, we have decided, is Alexander Skarsgård, who plays Randall Flagg, and I did a terrible job researching him, and it sounds like you didn't do much better.
Well, I do have to say that he is difficult to research. I mean, you've got some articles out there, you've got IMDb, you've got Wikipedia, but he does not have a social media account. If you come across a Twitter or an Instagram or a Facebook page, it is a fan page. So all of his co-stars have confirmed he's not on social media.
That's kind of shocking.
He actually just recently let it leak. And I think it was Variety magazine did an interview. And he does have a secret personal Instagram that is not public. So it's just family and friends, and I'm sure it's probably under a pseudonym, and he doesn't post pictures of himself.
Oh, so he didn't leak what it was. He just confirmed that he has it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, and this kind of came about, like a year or so ago when, the singer Lorde?
Yeah.
Apparently, she's got a secret Instagram account where she reviews onion rings.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Random, but she is a huge fan of onion rings, and so she tries them. She takes a picture of them, and she rates and reviews onion rings on Instagram.
That is beyond awesome.
I don't know how somebody discovered this, but she confirmed that it is her Instagram. And so somehow somebody found out that Alexander Skarsgård does have a personal Instagram account, but nobody knows the name, nobody knows the profile picture, nothing. So if you see a social media account for Alexander Skarsgård, it is not really him, it's a fan page.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to be straight up and say I didn't really recognize him from anything because I had watched a couple of episodes of True Blood, but it was never my thing. Laurel K. Hamilton is my thing. Sookie Stackhouse is not my thing. So,
would you be shocked to learn that I have actually read all of the Charlaine Harris True Blood books?
I, in fact, would.
So when I go on a book binge, I go on a book binge, and thank
Seriously.
God, I try and choose things where the entire series is out. I think when I started reading them, there was a few stragglers that I had to wait for towards the end because she expands the universe in multitudes. And I probably haven't read the last couple, but I have read probably at least a dozen Charlaine Harris books. So I was very, very excited when True Blood first premiered. Season 1 follows the first book almost line for line until the very last episode when they kill off a character from the book that they continued on in the series.
Huh.
And it's your favorite character.
Who would that be? Lafayette?
Lafayette, yeah. And I mean, that's no big secret. I mean, it was made a big deal of that he wasn't killed off in the series because he was such a fan favorite.
He's a great character. Isn't that actor passed?
Yes, he did.
That's so sad.
He was filming. He was on the current, not the current as in last season of Elementary, and he passed while filming. So
that's so sad. Do we know what the cause was?
I think it was substance related, and I don't know if it was like an accidental or intentional, but it was substance related. But Alexander Skarsgård played Eric Northman in True Blood, and that's where I think that I probably recognize him the most, of course.
Sure.
But do you know where he got his American start? Because he was acting in Sweden from the time he was like 8 years old.
No, you know please tell me.
His first American movie was Zoolander.
Okay, I saw that he had Zoolander as a credit, and I was like, really?
He played one of the male models that was Derek's roommates. He played Meekus.
Too funny. Now I may have to go back and watch Zoolander just to see that.
I could probably send you a YouTube video of the gas fight and you would recognize him immediately.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. Okay, please send it to me because that is super funny.
So when he started acting, his father's an actor in Sweden.
Right, and, Bill Skarsgård, right? Or Stellan. Right. Is his dad Stellan?
Stellan.
And then Bill must be his brother.
Yes.
Okay.
So there are several Skarsgårds that currently act. His father, of course, got his start in Sweden, and his mother is a doctor. And
really,
they raised their children very middle class. They didn't want their children to like have the trappings of, you know, the children of a movie star. But he got the acting bug early, and he acted from the time he was 8 to the time he was 16, appearing in various TV shows and movies and commercials in Sweden. But at 16, he kind of like lost his love of acting. And I believe that he studied some sort of medicine, if I was reading that right.
Interesting.
Yeah, his physician mother kind of inspired him to sort of start pursuing a career outside of acting. And then he was conscribed to the Swiss military at 19. They have a compulsory military service there, and he kind of caught the acting bug again. He contemplated kind of what he wanted to do with his life, and he moved to New York. And he enrolled in Marymount Manhattan College to study theater. But after 6 months in New York, a romantic entanglement lured him back to Sweden.
That will always mess you up.
Of course. Unfortunately for them, fortunately for us, the relationship was short-lived. And so brokenheartedly, he moved back to the States.
Interesting.
Where he found himself an agent and a part in a Ben Stiller movie.
Which I hate to say it. I mean, I'm as hit or miss with Ben Stiller as I am with like Will Ferrell. Yeah. But Zoolander is definitely one of my favorites.
It's a guilty pleasure. Like, I don't like Showgirls. That I like the movie, but I will watch the movie anytime it's on.
I'm totally hit or miss with Ben Stiller, but I love that movie.
I
It's awful.
Am I taking crazy pills right now? Like, that's all I see. They're breakdance wedding. And so he actually dabbled a little bit in directing, and he won an award for a short, and I'm not even going to try and say the Swedish name of it. The English translation is To Kill a Child.
That sounds disturbing.
Yeah, it does. He has a tendency to play dark characters. So that's actually not very surprising that he would co-direct a dark short film. So shown at both the Tribeca and the Cannes Film Festival. I don't know where you might get a hold of a copy of it now, unless it's on YouTube. So one of the major things that I know him from, I realized that I actually have not seen a lot of what he has been in, but the things that I have seen him in are the really big ones. True Blood, of course. He was in the movie Battleship, which I do not recommend.
Oh. So I struggle with John Travolta in the same way that I struggle with Tom Cruise. The whole Scientology thing has just ruined me.
Oh, no, you're thinking of
I'm thinking of Battleship Earth. Yes.
No. And Battleship was not even like as interesting. It was based on the actual board game Battleship, as in you sank my battleship.
That
aliens
sounds
invade
even worse.
Earth.
That sounds even worse.
They put this like impenetrable dome kind of around Hawaii, and the naval ships have to figure out how to like kill the aliens before the aliens sink the battleship.
My God.
It's awful.
It sounds awful. Sounds awful.
And it's so sad because it's got Alexander Skarsgård and Taylor Kitsch, who is amazingly adorable, and I think we've talked about him before in a little bit. And it's got Rihanna in it. Freaking Rihanna.
Rihanna, who is amazing.
Yes.
Oh my God, all you have to do is say cheers, drink to that, and I'm down with it.
Right? But one of my absolute favorite shows, I cannot wait until the next season comes back, is Big Little Lies.
Okay, so he actually won a Golden Globe for that.
Yes. And if you have never seen Big Little Lies, I highly, highly recommend it.
Is it HBO?
It is HBO.
Oh, good. I have HBO. I should watch it.
The subject matter is very, very triggering. There is...
Girl, I have no triggers left. I'm a mess.
But I feel obligated to warn the audience that there is
okay, I have to ask, is there rape?
Yes, there is a huge storyline.
So that is like the one trigger that I have remaining. Like, I don't have very many triggers left, but that is definitely a trigger.
And there is a very focused storyline around spousal abuse.
That may be a trigger, but rape is definitely a trigger.
Yep. So very, very heavy subject matter. And of course, Alexander Skarsgård plays a really bad guy. And he plays it so well. He and Nicole Kidman are married on the show, and they are amazing together. But, I mean, you learn right off that he is not a good guy. So.
Well, he's kind of playing to type.
Yeah. He definitely has, and I think he typecasts himself. I think he really likes playing these roles.
Look, I totally get dwelling in darkness. I totally get that. I understand that.
So he has something in post-production, which I thought was interesting because in True Blood, he plays Eric Northman, who was made a vampire when he was a Viking. So he's like 1,000-year-old vampire. And in post-production, he has a movie coming up called The Northman. And I'm like,
really? That would be cool.
It's an adventure drama history set in Iceland at the turn of the 10th century. A Nordic prince sets out on his mission of revenge after his father is murdered, which is pretty much the storyline of Eric Northman in True Blood. I don't think he gets turned into a vampire in this, but it's pretty much the same story. He's a Viking prince, and his family is murdered, and he eventually does get revenge on the guy who does it only 1,000 years later, who obviously is also a vampire. But it's got Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke, and Willem Dafoe. And Bjork! Oh my god, it's got Bjork, way down on the list. She's there. Bjork. Oh my god, she plays the slave witch. Now I have to...
So I have to ask you, not having watched True Blood, is that a character from True Blood?
The slave witch?
Yeah.
His family had slaves because he took his liberties with them. So
no, say it's not so.
So yeah, he is the youngest of. I'm sorry, he is the eldest of 6, and like I said, most of his family acts. Yeah, right before we started podcasting, I was trying to find out if he was married or not, and he's been linked to a few actresses, and he has some kids. But ladies, it looks like he is single.
We don't know that. He also has a secret Instagram. Or or not Instagram. Instagram account. Instagram. So, who knows?
Yeah, he's just one of those that really, unless he is acting, he stays out of the spotlight. You won't find him, partying or clubbing or getting into trouble or anything like that. He seems to be a very down-to-earth guy. He's the 5-time sexiest man alive in Sweden. And I'm like, only 5?
Well, he's only won a few Scream Awards for True Blood, so only 5?
Oh my god. There is I think it's either an Entertainment Weekly or a Rolling Stone cover from way back in the day from True Blood, and it is Bill, Sookie, and Eric, all 3 of them spooning. There's a Sookie sandwich. Ooh. And they're all butt naked. And they're covered in blood.
Okay, I'm completely down with that.
And it is the most shocking, the best cover I think I have ever seen on any magazine ever.
Sorry, I just have to say right now, I'm 2 screwdrivers and a vodka and gin in, or a gin and tonic in. So here we are. I'm taking a page from your playbook.
It always makes for the best podcast. All right. Like I said, it's funny. There's very little out there about Alexander Skarsgård, but there's also quite a bit. I mean, there's a ton of personal quotes on his IMDb page. There's a pretty good mini bio for him. I love that the trademarks that are listed is cleft chin and razor sharp cheekbones.
Well, that would be Demi Lovato.
And towering height and lean yet impressively athletic physique. God, I'm not even drinking and I'm the one slurring my words.
Oh, I'm laughing. Sorry.
That's okay. And the last thing that I will say about Alexander Skarsgård is his under trivia, his favorite movie is listed as 1933's Duck Soup.
Interesting. That is a quirky thing to say, and I kind of feel like he intentionally did that just because it was quirky.
it's a Marx Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so random. I love it. Do you have anything to add about Alexander Skarsgård?
I'm not sure that I do. I do have one tiny thing to add. So he was in The Legend of Tarzan, which I have not watched, but he apparently played Tarzan. And he was in Lady Gaga's paparazzi video, which Lady Gaga's amazing. I was just listening to her earlier tonight, not realizing that there was an Alexander Skarsgård tie-in.
That's funny. And I looked it up. And yeah, I mean, right at the beginning, he plays the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to rewatch that video.
Ugh, what an amazing life she leads. Like, yeah, Alexander Skarsgård played my boyfriend in my music video.
Right. And I got to cross act with Bradley Cooper. It was tragic and terrible, and it was fabulous.
I still have not seen that.
It was good. I'm going to be totally honest and admit that I'm a terrible podcaster and movie viewer, and I've never seen the original. But it was good.
There's an original?
Yeah, Barbra Streisand.
Wow. Oh, I'm going to be a terrible person and admit that I don't really like Barbra Streisand.
Oh my God, you are a terrible person.
I am. Like, I don't know.
Huh. Yeah, I don't really have anything else, but I am going to rewatch that Lady Gaga video before I go to bed tonight.
Okay, I'll find the Zoolander one and send it to you.
Awesome. And I'll be like, that's Randall Flagg.
Oh.
All right, I have a ton of stuff in Whisperer's Corner. The good news is it's fairly short, despite that.
Okay.
The first is that season 10C, I'm going to call it 1, released tonight on AMC Plus. I have not watched it yet, so I did not look at all of the spoilers that were posted for it. There were a ton. But apparently there is a new group of bad guys called the Reapers. So that will be interesting, and we'll be watching it next week. So here we are. There was an article that was kind of clickbait, and it showed up in a couple of places. So Norman Reedus actually says that he wants the new spinoff to be about hope and friendship. And he apparently waxed quite eloquently about how, he wants it to be like post-COVID, the world is opening back up, hope and friendship, yada, yada, yada. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, especially considering Anthony Fauci just said we could be expecting to wear masks into 2022.
Oh, God, don't tell me that. I want a life again. I want a life. I want a life. I have needs. I want a life. God. Okay. And God bless it. You and I are supposed to go to Pandemic in September, which I don't believe is going to happen, but we're supposed to do it.
Yep.
And I want to be the terror of the Walking Dead circuit. I want them to be like, oh my God, that woman from Alaska is here. Run fast, run far.
Someday in time. Wear your mask, get vaccinated.
God bless it, Anthony Fauci, stop cursing me. Okay, so anyway, that's the thing about the clickbait about the new spinoff about Daryl and Carol. I did post on our Biters page, there was an article about how to become an extra on Walking Dead World Beyond Season 2. So if you are in Virginia, there is a possibility. Take a look at that. There is a new Fear the Walking Dead trailer, which I also posted on Biters, and they introduce the, quote, King of the Crazies, unquote, who is played by John Glover, who you might know from Scrooged. Oh, go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out who John Glover is in Scrooged.
You'll kind of recognize him when you see his face. You know, he's a character actor. He's not someone who's had huge standout roles. But you'll recognize him when you see his face. I was confusing him with Crispin Glover in my head because I still have Crispin Glover stuck in my head because of American Gods.
Oh, okay. I know who he is.
So he is in Fear, and so is, God, is it David Carradine who's still alive? I think Keith Carradine is the one who died. I've got it totally... I may have it mixed up.
They look so much alike.
So one of them died in what was considered to be an autoerotic asphyxiation. God, okay, the gin is showing. Autoerotic asphyxiation, and one of them is still living, and he played Frank Lundy in Dexter. And he has been cast in Fear the Walking Dead. All right, Home Sweet Home, which is the 10C1 episode of Walking Dead Prime, uses one of my favorite songs by Leonard Cohen at the end of the episode. So if any of you have seen any pictures of my tattoos, one of my tats is a Leonard Cohen quote on my left forearm, and the funny thing is it's balanced by a Walking Dead quote. I love Leonard Cohen. He is so intensely personal and meaningful to me. And You Want It Darker is the album that was released just before he passed away. It's an amazing album. And they use the song You Want It Darker at the end of 10C1. Apparently it's a cover. But nonetheless, it's a freaking amazing song. Oh, such a good album, too.
You'll have to send it to me.
Yeah, I should.
I've probably heard it, but...
Remind me.
Not enough to know by name.
Send me a text and remind me to post the video on Biters as well.
Okay. And it's David Carradine who died in 2009.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. So it's Keith who is in Fear.
Yep.
I had
to
go
look
ahead.
at Kill Bill because I'm like, I know it was the one that was in Kill Bill.
Right, which is an amazing... So I'm hit or miss with Quentin Tarantino because sometimes his sexual violence is a little too much for me.
Yeah.
But the Kill Bill series I love.
Yeah.
Okay, so I also posted this on our Biters page. So the Invincible trailer has been released. Invincible is a comic book property by Robert Kirkman that's been optioned by Amazon. Mm-hmm. And it looks amazing. So it's animated. It has a star-studded cast, including multiple TWD alums, including Stephen Yeun. J.K. Simmons. Ugh, sorry, I shouldn't drink before I podcast. Sandra Oh, and Mark Hamill. I mean, it's got a huge cast.
Wow. I know Mark Hamill does a lot of voice work for cartoons.
You know, and I was thinking about him. I mean, here's the thing. He totally can do whatever he wants because he basically has had his career made by the 3 Star Wars films. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't have to do anything that he doesn't want to.
You did finish season 2 of Mandalorian, right?
Yes, and it was so good. Oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I did post the Invincible trailer, so if you're interested in that, please go look. It's definitely on my list. God, I don't know where I'm going to fit it on my list. I'm still trying to finish the Stephen King series that I was reading, and I'm just about done. And now I have this really dirty book called Diary of a Submissive that is next on my list. So here we are. That should be in Housewives Housekeeping. Okay, so Ride returns to AMC on 3/7. Fear the Walking Dead returns on 4/11. And then I did also post the new Season 6B Fear the Walking Dead trailer on the Biters page.
You have been a busy girl.
I have been a busy girl today. I've been lazy as hell, but I have been busy nonetheless. All right. The things that I have for Housewives housekeeping. So you and I are going to podcast A Promising Young Woman for Real Housewives this week, which looks amazing along the lines of Assassination Nation.
It is. And I will tell you that there is actually less violence and less sex than there is in this episode of The Stand. So,
well, that's disappointing.
There's some disturbing audio, and then there's some there is some kind of violence starting at about 92 minutes in. So, but not nearly as much as in this episode of The Stand.
Do I need a trigger warning?
What's that?
Do I need a trigger warning?
The movie does deal with.
Is it rapey?
What's up?
Is it rapey?
The disturbing audio is where, but it does center around a woman seeking revenge for the assault of her friend.
So do I need to stick my fingers in my ears, or am I going to be okay?
Oh no, you'll be okay.
Okay, yeah. Very good.
No. Like Randall Flagg having intercourse with Nadine and demoning out was way more disturbing.
Oh, okay. I'm going to be fine then.
You'll be fine.
I would also like to say that I am drinking the most amazing tonic water with my gin. It has elderflower in it, and it's so good.
Oh man, elderflower is like blueberry. When it comes to alcohol, it's really hit and miss for me.
Oh no, it's amazing.
I have never tasted a blueberry alcohol drink that I like. And I actually bought some elderberry like liqueur or syrup or something, and it was horrible.
No, this is incredible.
Yeah. I will have to take your word. I'm actually just drinking iced tea. Like a regular iced tea, not even alcoholic.
Well, I'm taking a giant page from your book, and I'm drinking more and smiling more.
I plan to have an edible later, which is why I'm abstaining from alcohol.
Very good. Well, we each have to do our own thing.
Yeah, I like to mix it up with my liver.
So there is some argument that marijuana and your liver have a strong negative relationship to each other, but here we go.
Oh, I'm not saying I'm taking it easy on her. I'm just mixing things up. I day drank yesterday in a bone-in corset. Like, I am not taking it easy on my liver. I'm just mixing it up a little.
I can't judge. I can't judge.
Besides, all of the legal medications that go through my liver every day anyway, like, what's one more?
Illegal or legal, it doesn't matter.
Right? The only difference is, like, prescription or dealer. Pharmacist or, like, your buddy.
Okay, the only other thing I'm going to say before we get into our goods, bads, and uglies is that you have given me some pro tips on music lately. So, Thank You Next by Ariana Grande is one of my favorites. Because she completely not only talks about being grateful for the lessons that she learned from her ex, but about falling in love with herself.
Yep.
And Demi Lovato's Confident is also spot on. So I'm quite happy. And yes, I realize these women are like 30 years younger than I am, but I will not say the expletive that I want to say.
I think I'll probably send you two more tonight. They're both by Jen Whitmore. One is called Kill of the Night, and the other one's called Black Sheep.
Okay, I'm good with both of those. Send them my way.
Yep.
I am feeling salty these days. Salty, I will tell you. It's fabulous.
No, I think you're feeling sassy. Because salty is like...
I'm salty and sassy.
I think I'm saltier than you. I'm soy sauce, baby.
So you know what? I am 50 years old. I feel fabulous. I am having a great time, and I never thought that would be my reality.
And I am so damn happy for you because, like, Man, the toxic positivity I have been feeding you for like the past 4 months, it had to pay off.
It has totally paid off. And let me tell you, if you're a part of the convention circuit and COVID ever goes away, run far, run fast.
At least if you see the housewives coming.
All right. I'm terrible. Let's talk about our goods, bads, and uglies.
All right.
Because otherwise I will obsess about my terrible life.
I was just trying to figure out a scheme of getting a bearskin rug to Atlanta. Like, so here we are.
Explain, please.
It's totally Real Housewives of Alaska-y, and like it has a sexual overtone, let's be honest.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm having that practical magic, I'm feeling very into sisters moment.
Woo! All right. Goods, bads, and uglies. You have to start.
Goods, bads, and uglies. Okay, so I am going to say that my good was actually the scene between Stu and Franny before Stu leaves. So I liked it. I thought it was really humanizing. I thought Franny's "I just want you to survive so we can raise this baby together" speech was really great. I liked her bitterness around being kind of pawns between God and the devil, or Abigail and the devil.
Right.
Or God and Randall Flagg. I mean, however you want to play those things out. And I actually thought this scene was really well played by both actors. I definitely liked Odessa Young anyway, but I appreciate her even more after watching Assassination Nation.
Yes, absolutely. Like, I am so glad we podcasted that. I'm so glad we watched it.
Me too. I mean, it really is one of my favorite movies.
I was very lukewarm on Odessa, and it's because I have all kinds of feelings around the original Franny, Molly Ringwald. But yeah, Odessa, Texas is amazing. Amazing
Young.
Actress. Yeah.
Odessa Young.
So, Odessa Young, Odessa, Texas. That's an actual place. So I had this scene written down for not as a good, bad, or ugly, but because it differed from the 94 version, and I was wondering if it differed from the book version.
So again, we've talked a little bit about this, and I'm ashamed to say that although I've read the book fairly recently, there are definitely things that stick out more about the book, probably in terms of shock factor, but also in terms of just big overall impression. And I can't say that this particular parting between Franny and Stu in the book really sticks out in my brain. I don't remember Franny being bitter about being pawns between God and Flagg the way that she was in this.
Yeah. So there was that, and then also the way that it went down on the 94 version was when Mother Abigail said that, you know, the four will go to Vegas and, you know, go with the clothes on your backs, and one of you won't make it, and blah, blah, blah. Franny freaks the F out. Like, she all but curses God. She, like, yells at Mother Abigail. Like, she is not happy. And in this one, she was quiet and reserved and thoughtful, but bitter. But I really liked how this one went down better than the 94 version, and that's, you know, usually unusual. I didn't have a problem with the 94 version, but I kind of liked this, like what you said, just do what you have to do to get back to me. And I like how Stu was like, I promise I'll try.
Right. I can't promise that based on everything that's gone down, but I promise I'll try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I preferred this version rather than the 94 version, which is why I wondered which way it kind of went down in the book.
You know, I feel really bad, and this is true of most books that I read. It's like my brain hangs on to them for a little bit after I read them, and then I'm like, okay, on to the next thing.
To be fair, you're a voracious reader, and these are really long books.
The Stand was really long. And I mean, basically, I've read all of the Bill Hodges novels now, and those, between the three of them, are essentially the length of The Stand.
And now you're just going to read trashy smut for a
I
while.
am totally reading trashy smut. That is my next read.
Oh, so I also really liked the whole we're just pawns in their game.
Is that your good? Or is that a continuation on my good?
A continuation of your good.
Okay.
Because I have actually, I think I vocalized it before, and I think I know that I have thought it before in the show, in that it's like, why can't, like, we've asked the question, why can't Randall just, like, go wipe everyone out? Why does he have to have a bunch? I mean, if he can apparate from here to there and appear in people's dreams and, like, torture people into, like, setting off bombs and stuff, like, why can't he, like, do his own bidding? And if God is all powerful, you know, why can't he, you know? Like, I just don't understand why humans always have to be pawns. And it's not just, like, the Christian God that does this, like, in Greek mythology, you know, Norse mythology, the gods are always messing with humans. And
right. And I mean, that's true. I can't say that I've read enough Egyptian mythology to remember that it sticks out that far back, but it's totally true in Greek and Egyptian mythology. They completely mess with humans.
You know, and I gotta think that it's just that, like, humans always have to have somebody to blame the bad stuff on. We can't ever blame ourselves.
You know, there's some legitimacy to that. We can't take ownership. We'd much rather blame the gods and blame hubris and blame fate than blame ourselves. Yep.
So, yeah, I agree with your good. Like I said, I had it written down for an entirely other reason, but yeah, liked it.
Okay, what's your good?
Am I a terrible person for liking?
Yes, you're always a terrible person, but I love you anyway. You are my heart. You and Koba, you are my heart.
Harold suffered so badly before he died.
He actually seemed like he suffered a little more in the series than he did in the book.
And he suffered more in this one than in the 94. Went down a little differently in the 94 version. Okay. So in the 1994 version, it's actually Randall Flagg steps out on the highway and forces him off.
This is much closer to the book. I mean, basically, Nadine messes it up so that he wrecks.
I wondered because, like, so in the 94 version, it was basically like, Flagg's like, I got to get rid of Harold because Nadine's mine. And in this one, Nadine's like, peace out, Harold. Thanks
He wouldn't have let you live anyway. Bye.
Yeah. This is better. No, it's not. But yeah, so he had physical suffering. He had mental suffering. Like his whole regret at the end. And writing like his last words and everything, and how he was such a coward, and maybe if he had jumped with the kids at the sand pit or whatever when he was a kid, maybe things would have turned out differently.
So I don't remember quite that level of self-disclosure.
There was like zero in 94. It was like he went over the side, he had a broken leg, and Nadine's like, oh well, and just like travels on to Flagg, like, and he suffers and dies, but we really don't see that. And I don't even think they happen upon his body in the 94 version.
And I don't remember that in the book either. And now I'm like, am I going to read the book a third time so I can remember whether or not any of that stuff actually happens?
Oh, this makes me like happy now that I actually
that you waited, that you'll listen to it at some point.
Yeah.
But
I also, this had to be on purpose. Okay, so he's laying there, and like he not only has this broken leg, but he's got that freaking vine like branch through his chest. So,
and that did not happen in the book. All I remember from the book is the broken leg.
Right, and it was just a broken leg in the 94 version. But when he was yelling at Franny, or not Franny, he was yelling at Nadine, he's like, get the rope! And I'm like, dude, if that branch comes out, you're just gonna bleed out, like, in 5 minutes. But so he's laying there, like, kind of contemplating his fate, and he's eating a candy bar. Did you notice what candy bar he was eating?
It was a payday, which is something that he was well known for in the books.
For some reason, I instantly thought, well, at least he got his payday.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
He did Flag's bidding, and he got his payday. Not a Snickers, not a Baby Ruth. Like, it had to be intentional that, like, it was obviously a payday if you've ever seen one, and you could actually read the wrapper, and it wasn't some generic form of it or anything. You could distinctly see payday.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
And that was the candy bar that he was well known for in the books, and he was actually well known for being much heavier set.
Yes.
And that improved somewhat with his change in diet and change in activity when he got to Boulder.
Right. So yeah, every time, like, the Weasley little bad guy eats it in a movie or show, like, my mind, I don't know why my mind always goes back to, the scene in the movie The Mummy with, Brendan Fraser, where the chick is like, Weasley little men like you always get their comeuppance. Always. And so, like, my brain just goes there, and I'm like, oh, he got his comeuppance.
I don't remember that scene, and I've watched that movie a couple times, but it's been a long time, so...
The guy, the Weasley little guy who did the bidding of the Mummy, when Edie gets kidnapped by him, she's like, Weasley little guys like you always get their comeuppance.
Oh, funny. That's really funny.
So anytime this kind of thing happens, like, my mind always goes there, and it's so satisfying when they do. And this was so traumatic and tragic. It wasn't just like, Flag struck him dead or he wrecked, and, like, he suffered for more than a day. I mean,
he did. And it seems like he suffered longer.
Yeah. And he suffered mentally. Like, it wasn't just the physical. So I am a terrible person. My good was Harold dying.
You are a terrible person, but I love you anyway. I really do.
Oh, so what was your bad?
So my bad, and I'm going to get a little ranty. The two most underdeveloped characters in the whole series.
Kojak. No, sorry.
I love Kojak. He's one of my favorites. Mother Abigail. We've talked about this before. I'm going to say it again. I won't spend tons of time on it. She is so much more interesting in the book, and they spent so much more time developing her. It sounds like they did in the 94 series as well. They spent so little time developing her in this series, and it's really disappointing because she was much more interesting.
Yep. And I know who you're going to say next.
Oh, you totally know who I'm going to say. Tell me who.
Nick.
No.
Trash?
Yes.
Okay.
How could they skip his backstory? There is so much about Trash that is so critical in the book. I don't know how much time they spent on backstory in 94, but there is so much in the book. He's so much more interesting. And this is awful. I know I ranted last week about how they portrayed Trash. I'm going to rant again. Ezra Miller is terrible. The whole screeching at the top of his voice, the whole BDSM.
Okay, we have stumbled into my bag.
It's so awful. It's so awful. It's so awful. I was like, oh my God. Couldn't Ezra Miller's agent have negotiated better?
Okay, the first words I have written down for the review of this show
God.
Trash sounds like a velociraptor with a kazoo stuck in its throat.
So what is so funny is the first words that I have written down for this episode are, I'm having serious trauma around Trash again.
I will tell you that they did not elaborate too much more on his backstory in the 94 version. And of course they skipped over a lot of his journey.
Oh, that is so disappointing because he's such an interesting character.
And so, I mean, if he's more interesting in the 94 version, and we really don't get that much more of him, although it feels like we got a lot more of him, considering, that was 4 hours, this is 9.
Okay, so this is straight up from my rotting potpourri. I thought you said it was 6.
I'm sorry, it is 6 hours. It's 4 episodes.
Okay, straight up from my rotting potpourri, what have they done with the other 3 hours? Nothing. Okay,
there was so many long establishment shots in this episode, and they also went over and over the explosion between the last episode and this episode 3 times, and I'm like, okay, there's 45 minutes you could have cut out between these long establishment shots and going over the same scenes over and over. And yes, I get it. It's from different people's perspective, but find a better way to convey that, So.
Yeah, no, they have not made good use of their extra 3 hours. You and I agree on that. And we'll see what episode 9, which is the brand new coda, has to bring to the story. But so far,
I kind of think of this like a bag of chips, in that it looks like a full bag, but 60% of it's air. And you think that's necessary in order for the chips not to get crushed. Pringles does it just fine with a rigid can. There are better ways of doing this. So, weird analogy, but you got there.
Yeah, no, totally there.
So, our bads were just about the same.
Yeah, oh, God. Ezra Miller in that BDSM outfit is just too much, and not in a good way. Ugh.
Okay, I like this. He's crazy. Like I said, I don't know why they're going with the underwear, other than, they can't do the full frontal nudity, because I just think the underwear is a hindrance. Because with the way that he's got, the thigh straps, I don't think the underwear come down cleanly, so those have not been changed in a while.
I'm sorry.
I'll just let you compose yourself on that one. But we should move on to your ugly, since we've covered both of our bads.
Oh, did we cover both of our bads?
Yes, we've covered both of our bads. Trash does not cover his.
Oh my God, my abs. They do exist.
Don't do setups. Listen to this.
Okay. All right, I'm breathing.
Would you like me to go through my ugly?
No, I'm good. Okay, I'm just going to go back to something I've said before, which is that Glenn and Larry are my absolute favorite casting for this series.
Mm-hmm.
So Giovanna Depo and Greg Kinnear, they couldn't have done any better. They're both great. I love them as Larry and Glenn. I just do. And while that is not a long bad, that is a long ugly, rather good ugly, that is a huge ugly. I think that those two actors bring their all to the series, and they bring their best to the series. And I'm going to say that Odessa Young is probably my next in the casting, but Greg Kinnear and Giovanna Depo are definitely my favorites.
And it was a divergence in the original casting.
Completely both, actually. A little more so Giovanna Depo than Greg Kinnear, but both.
Greg Kinnear is much younger than, or at least appears to be. I can't judge people's ages anymore. People age way better than they used to.
And might I just say that Greg Kinnear still looks fabulous?
Oh, man. Yeah.
I mean, I loved him in Sabrina, and he still looks amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he looks better now than
actually, I would agree. That slightly grizzled, beardy look, it's good. I'm good with that.
Yeah. And so this actually segues nicely into my ugly. I love what Glenn had to say after they had stopped in that town and gathered supplies, and Stu's giving him crap about, oh, the most outspoken atheist of us all, suddenly believes, and he said that his wife told him, there is no difference in believing in something for which there is no evidence and refusing to believe in something for which there is overwhelming evidence. And I really like that. Me being the big atheist that I am, if there were overwhelming evidence, like if this Mother Abigail character had come to me in a dream and she were real and like the apocalypse had happened and now we're sent on a mission from God to defeat evil, like I think I might start believing in heaven and hell, like maybe not exactly like the King James version of the Bible, like no shellfish and like God hates figs.
Only vegans hate figs. God doesn't hate figs.
Which is funny because the tree that I brought home from my office today is a fig tree. So I'm being blasphemous even in my home.
Good for you.
But I just love that quote, because of course, like even me, a huge atheist, I think if all of these miraculous things were happening around me, I think, I would start to question my questioning of things. So, and of course, Greg Kinnear puts it so eloquently.
And he's really well written. I would have to say, of all of the characters, he is probably the best written, because the character is that eloquent in the book, and he continues to be eloquent in the series.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just him leaning out the window of the limo, or leaning to the window, and the statue in Caesar's palace, and he's like, "Render unto Caesar." He's
right.
He's such a rich character. He's got that philosophy background, and he's very well read, and he's just yeah.
No, I love him. I think he's wonderful.
Love us some Glenn.
Yep.
All right, I think that takes us straight into Rotting Potpourri. I have a ton written.
Well, you start.
So did you notice after Nadine and Randall's tryst, on her thigh, he had like scratched RF into her thigh?
No, I didn't notice that. I was so comparing in my head the Nadine of this to the Nadine of the book that I missed that entirely.
Oh, it was so sickening, like we had just witnessed like him in full demon mode, and her, like the scene was a little rapey towards the end, and like then they flash on her, and her hair is white and everything, but she's got like RF carved into her inner thigh, and I was just like, oh.
Okay, I'm gonna go there because that was a big part of this episode for me.
Yep.
So it's really rapey in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And Nadine is not like, oh, I'm so turned on and I'm so amazing and platinum blonde now in the book. Yep. She was totally like, I am completely freaked out and this is horrible and I've been completely violated and I'm devastated. I mean, that was the way she was in the book. So the way that they portrayed her in this episode was actually unsatisfying and somewhat disturbing for me. And I'm not going to talk anymore about Nadine's trajectory because I want to see what they do with her next week.
Yes.
But let me tell you that this was very disturbing.
Yeah, so it kind of sounds like the 94 version was
maybe a little more a little better.
Yeah. Because like we've said before, Nadine seems to be a lot more conflicted about, her and Randall's relationship, even though she is drawn to him. And the scene was like way more traumatic in 94. And then afterwards, it's not like she suddenly became freaking Jane Mansfield in the desert all of a sudden.
Right.
It was like her hair turned shock white overnight, and she was like just bugged out for the rest of her time. Like,
so your remembrance of 94 is very consistent with the way it was portrayed in the book.
Yeah. So I am super curious to see if they follow through with her storyline that I think is probably fairly close to the book in 94. So
I've got to say, I was actually even a little bit angry when they showed a grossly pregnant Nadine greeting our survivors at the gates of, or at the elevator opening of the hotel, casino? The casino. Yeah. Thank you. The casino that they camped out in. I was a little angry because it was so different from the way that the experience with Flag and the portrayal of Nadine was in the book.
So, but there is a bit of a difference. And so when Flag was like, Nadine, honey, why don't you greet our guests? And she goes down there, and when she gets into, like, when she goes past Rat and the other henchmen, and they are both looking at each other like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And they're like both freaked out. And these are people that watch people murder each other with chainsaws and people screw on the casino floor on a regular basis. And they auction off slaves, you know, like, these people cannot be shocked. And these two are looking at each other like, oh my God. And it's like, what, you know? And so she goes into the elevator and she looks, and she's got this gorgeous reflection. You know, her hair's like falling in perfect
ringlets. Which is very interesting because her reflection is very different from what you see at the end of the episode, where she's like all like kind of washed out and she's got dark circles under her eyes. And
she looks like a walking corpse.
Right.
And her hair's like all frazzled and everything. So she is seeing what Flag wants her to see.
Oh, good observation.
What is in reality is like that baby is sucking the life out of her.
Good observation.
Yeah. So he's got her in some sort of trance where she thinks she's A-okay, and that baby is just gestating the hell out of her soul.
Which again, not consistent with Stephen King's portrayal at all, but here we are.
Nope. And, you know, this makes me wonder about the changed ending.
Yeah.
Yep.
It sounds like the changed ending is really focused on Franny. And I have done my best. Like, I looked up Stand News today, and there was nothing new except stuff about the ending. And I was like, nope, not going to read it. Not going to click on it. Gotta watch it as I watch it.
So, you know, we kind of talked about earlier a little bit of parallels between Stu and Harold, where they both had a broken leg and facing a decision of, quote unquote, a way out. And so now we have a parallel between a heavily pregnant Franny and a heavily pregnant Nadine. So that really makes me wonder about the ending. And I will say that I have not watched the last couple of episodes, so I cannot speak to it. I have no foreknowledge. Like, this is just me spitballing. So if something happens that I'm saying that I think is going to happen, it's totally my psychic ability.
So I'm so super glad that you brought it up, though, because that's totally something that went through my head with this episode, is that, you know, there's a parallel between Franny and Harold traveling on their motorbikes at the beginning of the series, and Harold and Nadine traveling on their motorbikes now. And there's this giant parallel between Stu and Harold both breaking their legs on a journey to Las Vegas. So I'm glad that we saw the same thing.
Yeah. You know, and before we see a heavily pregnant Nadine.
Yeah, I had missed that completely. So good on you for catching that, because that wasn't consistent with the way that she was portrayed in the book. Right.
And, you know, we both probably know the ending that has been written for Nadine before.
Right. We'll see if that happens, right?
Yeah. But poor Joe was left in the care of Franny. And so I originally had written poor Joe because, Nadine abandons him and now Larry has to leave. And this poor kid has already lost his real parents somewhere along the way. Mother Abigail went missing for a lot. Like all of these people keep disappearing out of his life. And I'm like, oh, Franny's like the eternal mother at this point. Like she's carrying the child of like her dead boyfriend.
Oh my God, she's like a mother goddess.
And so now I'm like, so I wonder, I don't think Nadine, no matter what happens, I don't think Nadine's going to survive the birthing of the child if that comes to fruition. So I kind of wonder if there's going to be like a little baby flag that Franny has to raise, unknowingly.
Ew.
So that is my bold prediction.
Okay, I like your bold prediction. It's icky, but I like it.
Franny's got 2 newborns and little Joe to help her out and everything. So yeah, that would make an interesting alternate ending.
I like it. I although I would be somewhat disturbed, I would be okay with that.
Okay, but so we are Hollywood is always up for the money grab. I could totally see a stand 2. I could see a season 2, Randall Flagg Reborn.
So there has been a little bit of conversation around that. So it will be interesting to see how the new ending plays into that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, why else? I mean, Stephen King has changed the ending a couple of times, but really, for celluloid, why else do you change the ending of something? You do it in order to be able to continue it so you can grab that dollar.
Not that Stephen King needs the dollar at this point, but I get it.
No, but
maybe CBS All Access does, but
he's pretty open to sure, okay, yeah, we'll do that. We'll make it into a movie, we'll make it into a show, we'll make it into a miniseries, whatever. I wrote the book a long time ago, just whatever.
And I say good for him.
Exactly. Yeah. As long as he approves of it, I have no problem, with the changes. But I'm just saying that is why you change an ending. And it sounds like so far off from what it used to be, is so that you can make a part 2 or a season 2 or yeah.
This has been a very fruitful episode in terms of making conversation. I mean, I don't know that it's been my favorite episode. I'm not sure at this point that I could go back and pick one. It would probably be the first couple of episodes, but this has been very fruitful.
So one of the other lines that I absolutely loved, and I'm a terrible person probably for liking it, but they put it...
I've already told you, you're a terrible person and I love you anyway.
They put it in there for us to laugh at, so I get to laugh at it, okay? And I'm going to say it as they said it. These are not the words that I use in my life. Having a smidgen of American Native in me...
Okay, yeah, so sorry, Ray, pandering, sorry. Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Ray says, what do you think? The little Indian girl must know the ways of the earth.
Right.
Lest to you to find a way, your water so you don't crap yourself to death.
Right.
And the guys are like,
yeah, pretty much.
Do you? And she's like, of course. I laughed. I had to. I don't like the way she phrased it. But it was done intentionally because, she can get that kind of laugh factor out of there. But it was funny because, they all really did just assume that, she was their Pathfinder.
I actually really, I want to like Ray because I really like Irene Bedard as an actress. I was also really angry at the whole "we are all brothers, we are all related" thing as she was saying goodbye to Stu at the end. I was like, ugh, pandering. Ugh. I mean, I went to an Indigo Girls concert. I was there when Winona LaDuke introduced them. I get it. I get it. But pandering.
Oh.
I am awful. I'm a worse person than you are. Okay, I have to talk
about... Tie for first.
What was that?
Tie for first.
I have to talk about Harold's death for a minute.
Okay.
So first of all, the first scene where they show him like scribbling in his journal, I was like, this is really dark, and I don't mean dark in terms of broody. I mean dark in terms of cinematography. I'm really angry.
I was really, really happy that, like, they read his letter aloud.
Right, me too.
At least Larry did in his head.
Right. And then I was actually really glad that there was a return to Harold in the light with the vulture looming over him, because I was like, oh, thank God, we'll actually get a little bit of closure with Harold.
Yeah, you know, and I was really surprised, because I think if I remember right, in the 94 version, they didn't actually show himself shooting himself. You heard a gunshot.
It's consistent with my memory of the book that he shot himself.
Okay.
Do I think that it is consistent with them showing him shooting himself? I can't remember. But it's consistent with my memory of the book that he did suicide.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't blame him at all. There was no help for the guy.
Yeah, no, there was zero.
About to have his liver picked out by a vulture for eternity.
Prometheus.
Exactly. But since we're revisiting Harold's death, it was like especially satisfying this episode because he was so cringy in the beginning. Like, after they blew the house up and thought that they had killed a bunch of people, and then he's like, breaker, breaker, that's a big 10-4. Over and out. I'm like, oh my God, you're the cringiest person on earth. Like, literally, there are very few people left, so you are literally the cringiest person on earth. And then what he said to Nadine, we don't touch each other now.
Right.
He's going to give me a woman who makes you look like a sack of potatoes. And
so
you
that
get
is
flag.
Totally not consistent with the book.
No. Not
like, I have no memory of him being like, I'm going to reject Nadine because all of a sudden Flag is going to gift me with someone amazing. No. No. No, there was none of that in 94 either. And, like, what he said was so shocking and so horrible, especially after having seen Nadine, you know, be vulnerable to Larry and be like, I don't want this. If you just sleep with me, you know, I can stay, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, all of a sudden, she's rejected by the man that she was forced to be with, basically. Like, ew.
I just, like... Yes, Nadine is, like, doing the bidding of Flag, but I just have kind of a soft spot for her because, like, just her whole story. And then, like, to see her branded by Flag, like, it's just awful. I mean, awful in a good Stephen King way. but
just, like, the best Stephen King way.
Right, exactly. I feel for her, but definitely a different Nadine this time around than it was in the book and in 94.
I agree, very much so.
Yeah. But again, like, loving the platinum Jane Mansfield look.
Right, although that is not even remotely consistent.
No.
Yeah.
Like, in 94, she looked like a bog witch or whatever.
Right. And that was more what I was envisioning in my head from reading the novel.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to say a couple more things about Harold's death. So I can't remember if our travelers found him or not, so I don't know if it's consistent that Larry finds his writing. But I was glad that they gave us what his journal was, since they really prominently displayed him working in it. And I will say that I loved what he said, and F me for letting myself turn into something worse.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure that he deserves the redemption that he gets in this story, and the redemption specifically that he gets from Larry, but I kind of liked it.
I liked that, and I also liked Larry being like, well, we can't just leave his
Right.
body out. And he's like, no matter what, I followed this man's writing across half the
And
country.
then Ray raging, that liberal garbage.
But then, like, Larry finding the writing and everything, and it was kind of like a poetic close to that storyline, and that he followed his writing all the way past the end.
Very good. I like that.
Yeah.
I very much like that.
There really wasn't much to do other, like, he took his coat off and covered Harold's face. So, I mean, that just makes Larry even better in my eyes.
That was a great moment, and like really sad to see him take off his jacket and cover Harold's face with it. That was a great moment.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you. So I literally wrote this. Nadine, lured with rose petals. No, girl, that way lies disaster.
Oh, man. It's like what is it? The far off twinkling of a star to lure the sailors to their death or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not good. No bueno, as my niece would say. No bueno.
Between the what is like the desert / Flags hotel room and the vigil that we had for Mother Abigail last episode, and then Mother Abigail's hospital room this time, I'm like, okay, apparently the first place that everyone went after the apocalypse was Home Goods for all of the white candles. Like,
oh my god, that is hilarious.
Priorities in the apocalypse: ball gown, shotgun, white candle.
Hey,
like, in that
you
order.
sent me an amazing picture of a ball gown that you were going to order off of Etsy today, so I'm totally down with ball gowns and shotguns.
I got the shotgun, I just need the ball gown.
You need the ball gown. You need it. You effing need it.
I'm going to be sitting in my home office on Zoom meeting in my ball gown.
If nothing else, you need it for our triumphant tour of Fandemic in September.
Oh, that would be funny. I mean, you've got Princess with her fuzzy pink coat and
you can totally
automatic
rock
rifle.
the ball gown. You can totally do it, girl. Do it. Life is short. Rock the ball gown.
It'll be me in a leather jacket in a ball gown with Lucille.
I love it. I'm gonna hold you to that. You better order that. Okay, I am gonna say that Kojak is a good boy. He's a good doggo.
Oh, yeah, and I'm so glad that he went back because, like,
and that's like super consistent with the novel.
You know, I can't I remember. I thought he stayed. I thought Glenn told Kojak to stay with Stu.
Not in the novel, nope.
Okay, and I don't hold me to that. I can't totally remember, but I just know that Kojak was with Stu. And a good thing, because, you know, I honestly think that Lloyd would have probably either just shot the dog or taken him back and, like, cooked him. You know, like, I just think that he would have done something awful to Kojak.
You're right. Didn't think about that. Probably would have. And Kojak is a good boy. He's a good doggo.
Yep. And the quickest way to lose me is killing the dog. Like,
yes, does the dog die?
Yep.
And I will say that the storyline of Stu falling when Glenn nearly falls is entirely consistent with the book as well.
And I don't remember that in the 94 version. But again, I mean, 6 hours compared to 9 and however many pages of a book. So I just think they didn't deem it to be necessary.
I will say, kind of speaking of that scene where Doggo comes back, not the best soundstage.
Really?
Yeah, like especially when the actors were talking before everybody left. Stu and Glenn was like, yeah, we've got to go on. Mother Abigail said we need to go on. This is what has to happen. I was like, not the best soundstage.
Well, so I accidentally didn't know that I hadn't watched this one, which is why I watched it twice today.
Oh God,
so
that's really funny.
The other half still has to watch it, so maybe I will watch it with him again.
Oh my God, because you really need to watch it a third time?
Oh, what else do I have to do? Paint trim? Install a toilet? Flooring? Ceiling fan?
Too funny.
I buy all of these things and they just pile up in my garage. I seriously just need to hire a handyman and be like, my time is worth more in podcasting than it is the cash I'm about to pay you. So
that is so funny.
Hey, I'm putting more money back in the economy.
Okay, going back to the scene where I was not super impressed with the soundstage. Also, the whole 23rd Psalm thing was totally too on point. They did not do that in the novel.
I don't.
The whole "I will fear no evil. I will fear no. I will fear." Okay, we get it. You could have stopped it the first time.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was none of that in the 94 version. And I think the 94 version really, really tried to stay away from a lot of the heavy biblical references, which is why they made all of the crucifixions on X's instead of crosses. Which we did see a ton of crucifixions in this episode if you were paying close attention.
I was not.
So on basically every single lamppost in Vegas, there was a crucified person.
Okay, so since we're talking about Vegas, the billboards were terrible.
So
terrible. Like totally not flattering to Alexander Skarsgård, totally not interesting in terms of the character of Randall Flagg. Terrible.
So what was like? I did not have closed caption on. What he was saying stuff like, you had your chance. You had, now it's our turn or something like that.
Right.
And was he saying there's no whining? I swear to God, he was saying there's no whining.
Like multiple times, and it was actually not just something that you needed on closed caption, but also something that was like printed on the billboards. There's no whiners, no whining allowed, which
and
was like
no
totally
P-word, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a weird propo.
Yeah,
like,
no, it was ugh.
Like you could say something a little more substantial, like the new world order is you must be strong or perish, you know?
Right.
Like if you're like, and I know he's not the devil, if you're the devil, aren't you just like, you know what? I'm going to take a few pages out of Hitler's book, literally.
Right. And I mean, really, even though you and I know he's not the devil, they're portraying him as the devil.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you would assume that he's the devil.
Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, that's how he is. That's who he is.
Yeah.
Okay, and speaking of being the devil, the license plate on the limo, Inferno 1, I was like, who's making license plates in a pandemic where 99% of the planet died?
Okay. I can entirely envision a brothel owner outside of Vegas having a limousine with Inferno 1 as their license plate.
Okay.
Like I totally
kind of get that. That
Yep.
makes sense. It makes more sense than thinking that someone created it for Randall Flagg after the apocalypse.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they got more priorities, but you know, like they are just flitting away a lot of resources and stuff.
Did you think it was funny, and we're getting toward the end of my notes, that they were playing Baby Can You Dig Your Man as they were getting everybody out of the limo?
Yep. I did see the resurgence of the song.
Yeah. That's pretty much all I have. I mean, we've talked about everything else.
Yeah, I think that's what I have too. So we have 2 episodes left.
And Walking Dead actually premiered tonight if you have AMC Plus, but it premieres for those of us who are general plebeians in the coming week. Actually, I have an AMC Plus, but it's only because I don't have cable.
I was going to say, I might have AMC Plus. I'll have to check with the service, the multitude of freaking streaming services I subscribe to now, which I just got Cinemax.
I was going to say, I did Cinemax for a hot minute and then canceled it right away because of Showgirls.
Oh, so, I'm going to be the one that they get.
Because you'll forget to cancel it.
Yeah, because they only give you a week.
Yeah, no, I was like, no. There's nothing that I need to watch on Skinemax, that I need to keep Skinemax for.
Do you remember the good old days when you got a 30-day free trial?
I just know that I don't need a 7-day trial of Skinemax because if I want to watch porn, I can watch it on Pornhub or TikTok. So there we are.
Oh, I am not on porn TikTok, unfortunately.
You have completely ruined me.
I'm sure I have, in more ways than one. I'm not on porn TikTok, but I am on Kink Talk.
Is there really porn TikTok, and is there Kink Talk? Really?
There's Kink Talk, yes.
Oh my god, we're terrible, and we're now taking this into a PG-13 version of Biters, so it's probably time to wrap it up.
I think it is. So join us next week. We will be doing the second to last episode of Stand. We will be doing season 10C1 premiere, which, God, I hate saying that, of The Walking Dead. And we will also, by then also... A Promising Young Woman should have dropped. So go and rent that from whatever streaming service you rent it from. It's on a multitude of platforms.
Oh, is it? Because I was going to say, I don't know if it is as expensive everywhere else as it is on Amazon, but oh my God.
It is.
I'm really super intrigued by the promo, which is the only reason that I'm willing to pay what we're going to pay for it.
Well, and I watched it for you, and I definitely highly recommend it. So you can get it on YouTube for $20. You can get it on Vudu for $20. You can get it on Amazon Prime for $20. Like, it's out there. You just got to pay $20 to see it. So I think that it is worth the price of admission. And maybe that's just me that hasn't gone to an actual movie theater in a year.
I was going to say, if we were in the before times, that would be less than you and a date. So there we are.
So definitely worth the price of admission, A Promising Young Woman. So, man, we've got a lot of podcasting to do. You can also go see us in Practically Nothing on Capes and Lunatics After Dark.
You less than me, but Charlie way less than the both of us.
You don't have to actually watch Showgirls to listen to us talk about it. It's definitely a cult classic for a reason, a theatrical and critical flop, but there is a reason why people hate to love it. So
okay, and trigger warning, if you want to be completely ruined on just human sexuality in general, watch the pool scene. If you want to be completely ruined on humans as general, watch the rape scene, which I had my eyes closed through the whole thing. So there we are.
Yes. Definitely a lot less graphic than you would expect, but still,
I couldn't do it, Marn. I couldn't. I know that that's a giant trigger for me, and I couldn't.
Yep, totally understandable.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Until next week, next time, next podcast, just remember,
take
it one dead day
at a time.
Have a good week, everybody.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.